Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
DJ PK, we're joined now by Tanner Wall, former BYU star, now trying to make the Raiders. Tanner, good morning.
Good morning. How we doing?
We are doing well, Tanner. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. Just enjoying the last couple of days before heading back down to Vegas here before training camp.
I'm curious, going from the BYU, the baby blues, and it's got the goody two-shoe reputation, to the Raiders, which I think this is like a 20-year-old or 30-year-old rep, but nonetheless, the silver and black, anything goes, just win, baby. Is it really just different, or is it just football?
It's different, but at the same time, it's the same. Yeah. I mean, like you said, football is football. We've done some cool team meetings and just kind of learning the history of the Raiders and Al Davis and, who he was and what kind of players he liked and the style of players that have kind of all historically been associated with the silver and black. So we're definitely trying to still maintain that, but I think Coach Kubiak's bringing his own spin to that. But I'm excited to see it all come together this season.
You've been there, right? The draft is in April, and then they've got a lot of stuff that you've got to do as a team and as an individual. Tell us about all the stuff that's already been going on before the actual training camp gets underway.
Yeah, so NFL offseason, they kind of break it up into what they call like phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. You've probably heard the term OTAs.
Yeah.
OTAs are not mandatory by any means, but every player on our roster was there, so that gives you kind of a taste of exactly how important they are, especially for a team with the new coach and a lot of new stuff going on. But so the veterans, they started phase 1, which is just like working out with the strength and conditioning staff and some walkthroughs, that kind of stuff, in April. Rookies, we had our rookie mini camp the first weekend in May. So all the rookies come down, whether you're a drafted guy, a free agent signed guy, or just a guy who they invited for mini camp, just to kind of take a look at. The mini camp invites are kind of like tryout guys. And then after that, they pretty much roll the rookies straight into the OTAs. So we caught like a week of phase 2 where there's no crossover. So there's no O versus D during phase 2, but we're still on the field for like hour to an hour 20 every day, going through the installs, doing walkthroughs, doing more stuff against, our coaches and stuff who are lined up at receiver. We're giving each other looks. And then when OTAs start, we had, 10 practices where, we're 2 hour 10 practices where we're, doing lots of team periods, lots of good on good crossover, lots of special teams work. So that wrapped up. And then the rookies, we stayed for about another week and a half, 2 weeks after, just to get some more work in and do a couple things. And then we got our little break. But rookies, we report next week. So our report day is the 23rd. But training camp starts on the 29th. So this is that little summer break that everyone gets right before training camp starts. And then it's straight into it. I was just looking at the calendar, a little different from college. Training camp, you have 12 practices before your first preseason game. Different from, a college camp. So it's a quick turnaround. So that's why, OTAs and everyone being there for that is so important, just to get a jump on a lot of that stuff.
The Raiders, the recent history obviously isn't good. They won 4 games under Antonio Pierce, 4-13. They let him go. They brought in Pete Carroll. They went 3-14, a game worse, and let him go. So those recent results would suggest to me there are no guaranteed jobs and everybody's competing. But it is pro sports. Some guys are making a lot of money. Some guys do have reputations. And maybe coaches have brought in some of, quote-unquote, their guys. So maybe there is a feel there's some guys set there. On the other hand, there's not a lot of guaranteed money in the end. So even if you're making money, they can take it away from you and let you go in some cases. So I'm curious how locked in people feel and how much comfort there is and how much everybody's walking on eggshells. Or is it really different for different people?
I'd say, maybe on every roster, there's a handful of guys who, feel maybe a little bit more protected. But for the most part, this is everyone's livelihood, and they are fighting tooth and nail to defend that. Whether, you're a, year 8, year 9 guy, or you're a rookie free agent, everyone's trying to get a piece of this pie. And so there's not a lot of comfort or guarantee, I would say. I think everyone's pretty on top of it as far as just doing everything they can to show their value and make sure that they're going to be a guy who makes the roster and is going to, get the money from your contract. And from a coaching perspective too, as you mentioned, there's no guarantees. And so there's a lot of focus and attention going in, especially from Clint Kubiak's role top down, being our new head coach coming from the Seahawks, where he just won a Super Bowl. I mean, even for him, he knows there's no guarantees here. So we got to put together a good team that's going to win games and show some promise here so that we can continue to build what he wants to in Vegas.
What type of feedback, if any, have you received from your individual performances and all these types of things that you've been able to do as you get ready for training camp? Are you still in the dark, or have they said anything?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got a whole lot of feedback, knowing as far as where we see you, how we like you. There's still so much of that to be discovered. And I think that's intentional, just because they know a lot of that comes from training camp and the preseason games. This is such a huge part. We haven't put pads on yet. We were just in helmets for all of, OTAs and all of that. So the game of football is a little bit different, when the pads do come on. And then what you can show in live game situations in the preseason games, I think really will determine the value that they see in you. There's still, it's so different than college, with the preseason games and what you put on tape. You might not be a guy who makes the 53 at the team you're at, but next thing you know, your agent's on the phone and you're signing with a different team because they liked what they saw from you in the preseason games. There's still so much shuffling that can go on with that. But bottom line is coming to training camp, hungry, ready to go. And, someone in my position too, so much of it's going to come down to value that can be provided on special teams, which will be shown as well in those preseason games.
Do the Raiders have those practices where they go in and do the joint practices with another team? You mentioned 12 practices before the first preseason game, but those joint practices might be a chance for you to earn your stripes.
Yeah. So I know, we have 2 home preseason games. So our first preseason game is home against the Cardinals. Then the next week, we do go down a couple days early to Houston because we're playing the Texans, and we have a joint practice or 2 with them before our preseason game. That's the only one that I know of right now, though.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Have you scouted out the competition at all to try to maybe dope it out your chances?
I mean, I think all of us kind of do that, as we're looking at, what we're up against and who we're competing with. But at the same time, I try not to, go too deep in that, just knowing I'm going to control the controllables, be the best version of myself. And, what it comes down to with me and what the coaches see in me, just make sure that I've done everything humanly possible to give them a reason to keep me around.
So how many guys are there at your position? How many spots are there? Recognizing there can be a little wiggle room, especially as you point out with the special teams value, which really needs to be underlined, because that we've been told by multiple former collegians here. Reno Mai said, man, if you're not playing special teams, you better be a really good quarterback. So in our safety room, it's kind of interesting because we also have like the nickel position in our room, which can add in a number or two to, how many guys they keep, just depending on versatility. Each team is kind of different in, how they stack their 53. But when you do the math and you look at it, 53 guys is basically a starter and a backup at every position, and then a punter, a kicker, and a holder, and a snapper. I mean, that right there is 47. The game day roster is 47 guys. So ones, twos, and specialists. But, some teams will have 4 safeties. Some might have 5 or 6. And then, the teams that have 4 might keep 2 or 3 on a practice squad. If you have 5 or 6, they might only keep 1. It just kind of depends on how the team wants to do that. So I'm curious to see what that ends up looking like for us come the end of August.
It's been several weeks now. You've not been with the team. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So during that time, you're not just sitting on the couch eating Doritos. I wouldn't think that
No.
You're out there. It's like it really, in terms of the training, it didn't end, right? You just continue to go. And I know Chase Roberts is on the team too. So what have you been doing? I mean, I don't know if you've been doing stuff with him or whatever it might be. What do you do to make sure you are in the best physical and mental condition that you can be in when you report? Yeah.
So the strength and conditioning staff down there, they put together a packet for us just with the plan of, what they wanted us to be doing each and every day as far as, physically with running and training, lifting, that kind of stuff. And so there's a group of us, probably about 10 guys who train at BYU every day with Skylar Main, who's our performance director. Doc Main, I don't know if that's a name you guys know. You've probably seen the curly mustache.
Yeah, with the mustache and the tats. We know who he is. Yeah, he stands out.
Yes, he does. So there's a group of us that train with him after the college guys are done. So he'll spend like 2 hours just working with us. And so, me and Chase have been down there every day, but Zach Wilson's been around a lot this summer. Blake Freeland is around. Even some other guys who, either played college or high school ball here in Utah are also down there. So guys like Jay Tufele, who played at USC. Julian Blackman comes every day too. So it's a great group, and it's good to be able to train all together, stay ready.
What do you feel like is the biggest challenge for you? We're visiting with Tanner Wall, Raiders, trying to make the Raiders roster here coming out of BYU. What is the biggest challenge that you've been able to identify? Film sessions, just the helmets walking around out there thinking, if I can do this, my odds go way up.
Man, I mean, I think really it comes down to how many good football players there are out there. Like, the discrepancy in talent between the 1s and the 3s is so small. There's a couple elite guys, obviously, on every roster, a handful who you look at and you're like, I mean, this is an all-pro guy. Like, he's going to, be the kind of guy who's making the Pro Bowl year in, year out. But for the rest of the guys, like, when you watch the tape, there's really not that big of a jump as opposed to, when you turn on the tape in college, I would say most average football watchers, if you were to take them and show them a clip of the ones versus a clip of the threes, they could probably tell you who's who. Whereas I would say in the NFL, across the board, there's so much talent, the athleticism, the speed, the technique, there's a lot of guys. I mean, this is their job. This is their livelihood. They eat, sleep, drink, breathe football all the time. So there's a lot of great football players out there. Guys who are new to the league, guys who've been in the league for a long time. And so just trying to be someone who can stand out, do something that jumps off the tape, whether it's just outstanding psycho effort, the guy who's, always flying to the ball or chasing guys down, even when it might not be expected of you, but you got to do something to stand out. And so I'm just, trying to figure that out, what those things can be that can be, that things in my game that coaches see that jump off the tape.
We hear in basketball, these kids all come out after 1 year, right? And it's like it's a negative to a point where, man, if you're a 3 or 4 year player, what's wrong with you? And they want you in there so young and all that stuff. And football, you got to stay. So it's not as big of a deal. But in your case, you're 26 years old. I don't remember if you went on a mission, so I'm assuming you did.
Did, yeah.
How is that an issue in terms of the way they would look at it at basketball? It was like almost like, well, he's too old. But I'm wondering, how does that apply to football?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a factor, in speaking with my agent who has represented a number of LDS players. In his experience, he seemed to notice that most return missionaries slide on average 1 to 2 rounds because of their age. And so, from a GM or a coach's perspective, when looking at prospects in the draft, they're doing the math, right?
Yeah.
As far as, is this guy likely to get to a second or a third contract? Coming into the league at 26, making it to a second contract would be, major accomplishment. Making it to a second contract at all as an NFL player is an accomplishment. That's what a lot of guys are shooting to do. So it's definitely a factor. But I would say what's interesting in the draft class that the Raiders put together, there's a lot of older guys, guys who played 5-6 years at their school. So I'm not too worried about that or feeling like I'm at some extreme disadvantage. I still feel youthful, feel right. Young. The body feels good.
Yeah.
But I would say if you look at a lot of the players that were taken, there's a lot of guys on the older end. And I think that's going to continue to be the case in college football, especially, we're kind of towards the tail end of the COVID stuff. So a lot of those guys are, finally getting out of college football. But with this 5-for-5 rule and with where college football is at now, I think you're going to see a lot more guys staying 4 or 5 years.
But college coaching is such a 1, 2, or 3 year job. And GMs, honestly, don't last much longer than that. I just don't understand these guys who are making decisions based on who might get to a third contract. Like, you got to win this year or next year, or you're either gone or you're standing really close to the edge of the cliff. So I have never, and it's real though, I get it's real, but I have never understood that. There's so many teams in win now mode. There's 14 teams going to the playoffs. You just can't explain missing the playoffs for very long. So, hey, if you can help at 26, 27, 28, worry about 5 years down the road when you get there. You got to get there. NFL's unforgiving. Yeah. All right, well, we appreciate the time, Tanner. We'll be following you. Good luck. You get to practice indoors down there, or they have you out there in the Vegas heat baking?
We are outside. We practice nice and early. So I mean, it's 95 degrees at 7 a.m., but we're out there. On the grass.
Nice. I don't know if you've ever come across Doug Jolly. He's 21 years older than you. But he played for the Raiders when Al Davis was alive, and he has stories. I don't know what the new Raider image is, but he lived the old Raider image. He's got stories. He will entertain you. You need to catch up with him at some point.
Will do.
Okay.
I'll try to do that.
Tanner, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Good luck.
Yep. Thank you guys so much.
Yep. There's Tanner Wall, Raiders defensive back, former BYU star, undrafted, trying to make it in Vegas. And you never know. There's so many stories. He was talking about the Pro Bowl guys are different, but we can sit here and list a bunch of undrafted guys who are stars. You never know.
Sure. Yeah, being not drafted in the NFL is not that big of a deal. It's not like the other sports. There's plenty of guys who weren't drafted who have gone on and been great players in the NFL. And the idea is just to stick as long as you possibly can to make that money, get that pension. I was talking to Trevor Riley just the other day, this very week, about the idea to have the pension and what it takes to get to that third year and all that stuff. And hopefully for Tanner and Chase and all these other guys, no matter who they are, Julian Blackmon has been in the league, blah, 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 that they have that opportunity to do it.
Find a way to get it done. All right, DJ and PK, Bob Casper, Real Golf Radio, top of the hour, Open Championship, and our draft. Stay with us.